In Northern Ireland, we often think we can tell an awful lot from very little. It's one of the many legacies that the Troubles and living in a divided society has given us. What can we tell about this man? And what about him now? Now, this is a bit more complicated. But if we knew what school he went to or where he lives, then we'd have a good idea of the kind of person he is.
It's sad, isn't it, that the society that we have made for ourselves encourages us to assume so much about people and then treat them in a certain way depending upon who we perceive them to be.
It's a shared legacy from the last 30 or more years, and just one of the costs of living in a divided society. We have come a long way in a relatively short space of time, and I thank God for answered prayers that the killing's over, but it's some legacy. In human, social and economic terms, the true cost of living through the Troubles and in a divided society can't really be measured. The statistics may make us pause and think. As we take this journey together, I hope that you will discover that our commitment to Christ not only challenges us, but frees us to live in a divided society as peacemakers, as we all have the opportunity of creating and becoming a part of a better future. As a starting point, it may help us to know that we are not unique.
Northern Ireland is certainly not unique in having divisions. The kinds of divisions it has may be distinctive, and history is distinctive, of course. But one of the biggest issues facing the Christian constituency all over the world today is the question of how you handle division.
I think when people are or perceive themselves to be under threat and under pressure, then the natural reaction so often is to retreat often physically from areas, but also to retreat from engagement with the communities around them. The challenge then that people face, the church faces today, is to move from that kind of mentality into seeking to really reach out to the people around them.
Reaching out to others is seldom the easy option, but we'll discover in this course that our commitment to Christ really does liberate us to be peacemakers. Or is it the case that what we perceive to be the traditional divisions actually mask others?
The big division, of course, in Northern Ireland, the big obvious division is between Catholic, Protestant, nationalist, unionist, Republican, loyalist. That's the one that everybody knows about. And we've lived with that and we've suffered with that for such a long time.
Divisions in North Belfast come in a host of ways. In practice, the two main communities don't talk to each other, don't interact. We have effectively a social and political apartheid and a religious apartheid. When we have over 15 miles of peace wall in North Belfast, which separate the two communities. And depending on how you look at it, you're either keeping the other lot out or you are walled in within your own area. So division is both physical, religious, political, social, and to some extent it's even economic as well.
We are a society that is fractured on a whole host of levels. I reckon maybe 13 or 14 at least. And the problem is that as the church we have been too at ease with those. We've lived and accepted them as just the way things are, and we haven't challenged them. And that, to me, theologically is unacceptable.
So, do we accept that the churches, including our own, have been partly responsible for the problem? And as one of the legacies of the Troubles, since many now view religion as its root cause, that we have turned people away from the gospel and the church.
People have been put off the church, and faith is challenged by what happens in society around us.
It's with a real sense of distress that I would have to say that I think the churches structurally have helped to sustain that level of division. For example, it is extremely rare, if you look over the past 30, 35 years, extremely rare to hear church leaders articulate the fears and the needs and the hopes of another community.
I certainly think that folk have perceptions of how the churches, not just our own denomination, have contributed positively and indeed negatively to the context of the political unrest within this island, and particularly in Northern Ireland.
It's all the more necessary then that the church's message is relevant, and also the lifestyle that Christians demonstrate is one that is genuine and has integrity and commends itself to the world around.
So then, this calls us to cast off some of the perceptions and myths about others that have been with us for generations. In 1994, Gabrielle Farquhar was called to move from her native Dublin to Ireland's longest established Presbyterian congregation, Ballycarry in County Antrim. The transition from south to north exposed Gabrielle to some interesting misconceptions.
Somebody said to me once, "Are you allowed to be a Presbyterian in the south? Is it legal? Can you worship openly? Are you allowed to talk about Jesus?" And I just could not believe that. And that, these were people of my own age at the time, and this is what they thought was happening 100 miles down the road. It's something that's inborn inside from one generation to the next, carried on. And I have to be honest and say, at times encouraged even from the pulpit in certain situations. Nearly what gives rise then to hatred. And that's not the gospel.
The country we love so much, the whole of Ireland, and particularly Northern Ireland, of course, is a divided society. A society which is deeply sectarian, a society which is, in the minds of very many people, still hopeless, and Christ is the key to it all.